Chapter 1. The War of the Aesir and Vanir. In the time before time, when the world was young and the realms of existence freshly wrought from the fires of creation, there dwelt two mighty tribes of gods, the Aesir and the Vanir. The Aesir, led by the Allfather Odin, were gods of war and wisdom, residing in the grand halls of Asgard. The Vanir, on the other hand, were gods of nature and fertility, their powers deeply rooted in the rich earth of Vanaheim. For ages, the Aesir and Vanir lived in harmony, their strengths complementing each other, maintaining the balance of the cosmos. But, as is the way of all beings, whether mortal or divine, tensions began to simmer beneath the surface of their peaceful coexistence. The Aesir grew envious of the Vanir's control over life's most vital forces, while the Vanir resented the Aesir's dominion over the fate of war and the wisdom that shaped the world. It was a minor dispute that kindled the flames of conflict, a disagreement over the exchange of emissaries. The Vanir sent their most skilled practitioners of Satyr, the magic of foresight and fate, to dwell among the Aesir. In return, the Aesir sent Har, a god of noble stature, and Mimir, the wisest of all beings, to the Vanir. However, the exchange did not unfold as intended. Har, though tall and commanding, proved indecisive without Mimir's counsel, and the Vanir felt cheated by his lack of wisdom. In a fit of rage, the Vanir seized Mimir, decapitating him and sending his head back to Asgard as a grim token of their displeasure. This heinous act shattered the fragile truce, and the worlds trembled as the Aesir and Vanir clashed in a cataclysmic war. The heavens roared with the thunder of Thor's hammer, and the earth quaked under the might of the Vanir's sorcery. The war raged for untold years, neither side yielding nor gaining the upper hand. The very fabric of reality frayed under the strain of their relentless battles, until at last, weary of destruction and loss, the two tribes of gods sought a truce. They met on the field of Ida, where the world had first sprung into being, and there they spoke words of peace and reconciliation. As a symbol of their newfound unity, the Aesir and Vanir came together to create a substance of immense power, a mead infused with the essence of poetry and knowledge. This sacred brew was crafted from the blood of Kvasir, the wisest of all beings born from the peace treaty between the two tribes. Kvasir, formed from the saliva of all the gods, had met an untimely end at the hands of dwarves, who sought his wisdom for themselves. From his blood, mixed with honey, the Mead of Poetry was born. The mead was placed under the guardianship of the giant Suttung, who sought to keep its power for himself and his kin. But Odin, ever hungry for wisdom and the glory of the skald's craft, devised a cunning plan to obtain the precious liquid. His quest would be fraught with deception, danger, and the allure of the sublime gift of verse that awaited him. Thus began the Saga of the Mead of Poetry, a tale of divine ambition and the unquenchable thirst for knowledge that would shape the destinies of gods and men alike. Chapter 2. The Theft of the Mead. Odin, cloaked in the guise of a wanderer, set forth from Asgard on a journey to Midgard, the realm of mortals, where the giant Suttung had hidden the Mead of Poetry. His heart was set aflame with the desire to claim the mead, for he knew that with it, the Aesir would wield the power of words that could shape thought and bend wills, a power as formidable as any weapon in war or peace. The Allfather traveled through forests deep and valleys wide, his eyes ever watchful, his mind scheming. He came at last to the mountain Bjorg, where Suttung had concealed the mead within a chamber, guarded by his daughter, the fierce and beautiful Gunnlod. Odin knew that brute force would not win him the prize. Instead, he employed his vast cunning. He observed the comings and goings of Suttung's workers, and noted a particular laborer named Baugi, Suttung's brother, who struggled with his tasks. Seeing an opportunity, Odin, under the name of Bolverk, offered his services to Baugi, promising to complete a season's work of 9 men, in exchange for a single sip of the Mead of Poetry. Baugi, weary and desperate, agreed to the terms, not recognizing the god in disguise. Bolverk worked with a strength and skill that betrayed his divine nature, completing the tasks with ease. When the season ended, Baugi was bound by his promise, but Suttung refused to part with even a drop of the mead. Undeterred, Odin pressed Baugi, who was now indebted to him. Together, they plotted to breach the mountain's defenses. Baugi drilled into the heart of Nbjorg, with a tool provided by Bolverk. But when he blew into the hole to clear the debris, the crafty Odin had enchanted the rock so that the shards flew back into Baugi's face. Thinking the passage clear, Baugi allowed Bolverk to try his luck. Odin transformed into a serpent, and slithered through the narrow tunnel, emerging into the chamber where Gunnlod guarded the precious mead. Her eyes, sharp as the winter frost, softened as she beheld the stranger before her. Odin, now in his comely form, charmed the giantess with honeyed words and promises of affection. For 3 nights he lay with Gunnlod, and each night she allowed him to drink from the mead. On the first night, he emptied one of the 3 vessels, on the second, another, and on the third, he drained the last, claiming all the mead of poetry for himself. But Odin was not content with mere sips. He transformed into an eagle, and, with the mead secured within him, soared towards Asgard. Suttung, upon discovering the deceit, transformed into a great eagle as well and gave chase across the skies. The gods of Asgard, seeing their lord in peril, placed out vessels at the walls of their stronghold. Odin, with Suttung close behind, regurgitated the mead into the containers, but in his haste, a few drops fell to Midgard below, granting the gift of poetry to mortal men. The gods rejoiced as Odin returned, the mead of poetry now in their possession. The Allfather had secured a treasure greater than gold or jewels, for it was the wellspring of wisdom and the art of words, a power that would echo through the ages in the voices of poets and sages. Thus, the theft of the mead of poetry was complete, a tale of guile and ambition that would be sung of for generations to come. And though the gods reveled in their victory, the echoes of Odin's deeds would ripple through the worlds, for the actions of the divine are never without consequence. Odin, with the fury of Suttung's pursuit at his back, beat his mighty wings with the force of a tempest, cleaving through the clouds that shrouded the path to Asgard. The chase was fierce, the sky crackling with the tension of impending confrontation. Yet, the wisdom of the Allfather prevailed. He reached the safety of his realm just as the furious giant closed in, his own talons outstretched in wrathful desperation. The gods, with quick wit and unity, had readied their vessels, and as Odin crossed the threshold of Asgard, he released the mead of poetry into their waiting embrace. The precious liquid, the essence of inspiration and eloquence, was now beyond the reach of Suttung's vengeance. The giant, thwarted and bereft of his prize, retreated with a roar that shook the very bones of the earth, his anger echoing through the mountains and valleys of Midgard. In the halls of Asgard, a grand celebration ensued, the air filled with laughter and the clinking of cups. The gods toasted to their wise ruler, to the cunning that had secured the mead, and to the future that it promised, a future where the words of the Aesir would weave the tapestry of the world's stories, where the skalds would sing of valor and the sages would speak of truths profound. And so it was that the mead of poetry, born of conflict and cunning, became a wellspring of culture and contemplation. Odin's legacy, infused in the mead, spread across the realms, a gift to those who sought the beauty of verse and the depth of knowledge. The few drops that had fallen to Midgard blossomed within the hearts of mortal poets, who sang of love and loss, of heroes, and the haunting beauty of the world. The tale of the Mead of Poetry, a saga of divine ambition and the unquenchable thirst for knowledge, was thus woven into the fabric of the cosmos, a story to inspire and to caution, a reminder that the quest for wisdom is eternal, and its gifts are to be cherished and shared, for they are what bind the past to the future, and the gods to the hearts of men.